Not like only like showing something there, but more revealing the features, because we can basically use that information and then reveal those features on very early stages that are not visible at all in ultrasound imaging.
The way that we finance healthcare makes stifles innovation and is the killer of people, and creates less than ideal experiences.
Okay, instead of trying to do something on the image, how about we do something on the frequency level?
Again, Sonar, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Start with your story. Who are you and why the hell are you doing this crap?
Yeah, sure. And first of all, thanks for having me. Like, it's really fantastic to be here. So yeah, I mean, I am Sonar, so one of the co-founders at PONS with my brother. We are twin brothers actually, so we don't look alike. Oh yeah, we are twin brothers, and he is also a prof at the radiology department, leading the AI labs, former Rutgers academic guy, and then also still doing something on Rutgers with Rutgers, but also at UBC Medical School. And the thing is basically, first of all, the reason why we started is we like 10 years ago we lost our father because of late diagnosis, and then 1 year ago our aunt passed away again because of late diagnosis of breast cancer, which could be avoided. And it's like, the thing is that it's not only personal, it's happening a lot recently. And there are right now a lot of women like age 30, 35 having breast cancer, which is extremely young. And what my brother was focused on is basically, okay, like ultrasound has this enormous potential because, one, it can be extremely mobile, it can be extremely small, but the biggest barrier was the low image quality, which was the biggest barrier, and saying that, okay, can we use ultrasound for preventive monitoring and then targeting early stage high risk group of people and population. And then he started then developing these models and algorithms that can overcome these barriers. Like, we're not doing like the trying to develop a new hardware, but okay, can we use existing hardware but improve the details on the imaging? Our main focus is how we can basically bring ultrasound to the mass market with AI, and then use that technology for specifically for preventive monitoring, and then reaching out to communities that are not able to go to the hospital, like minorities, low income families, and then use this technology for early diagnosis and help radiologists, not to replace them or not basically be better than radiologists, but more helping them to identify certain structures much more easier, much more faster.
Wow, what a journey. And I'm very unfortunate about your dad. So sorry to hear that. And I completely agree. The two major issues that you have just pointed out. Number one, of course, is the image quality, which again I'm going to decide. I'm going to distinguish between image quality in terms of technical versus image quality because of acquisition issues. And then the second one, of course, you said, how do we use ultrasound in essentially real time preventative process? First, where the pawns comes in is especially that image quality, and more importantly, how do you improve the acquisition signal as well? So talk more about it, what you do, what this technology does, and then how do you see it moving forward in the future?
There are a lot of companies doing image segmentation, automated measuring, pointing out, or like doing the color coding, everything, not only on ultrasound and CTs, MRIs as well. So, but when it comes to ultrasound, there is this huge problem which makes it difficult, as you said way in the beginning. Like, it is, first of all, it is extremely user dependent. It's not automated, so not every device or every technician is generating the same kind of image. So, and usually when you do image segmentation or like doing some AI on ultrasound, most of the companies are more focused on later stages. So what we do differently, that is also one of the patented parts. Like, we do basically use the frequency level dynamics of ultrasound. So because at the end of the day, ultrasound is RF frequency technology. So it sends some frequency level, bounces back, and then you see the image. So what we do is, like, we said, okay, instead of trying to do something on the image, how about we do something on the frequency level? Because that is kind of like, it's like a person seeing another person. So we as human, we see you is I see Harvey, I see you, even if I am I don't see any color, not like only like showing something there, but more revealing the features, because we can basically use that information and then reveal those features on very early stages that are not visible at all in ultrasound imaging. So our system, like, it is, first of all, it is device agnostic, so it works on any device. It doesn't need like you buying any or upgrading your existing devices or ultrasound, either is point of care or card based system. So that is one of the interesting things. And the other thing that we have, basically, we have developed these, we call it like these digital contrast technology, which means that we don't need a chemical agent injected to the patient to do a contrast imaging. We can do that without any chemical agent. We can do that directly on, again, on the frequency level, that we can also like reveal how the surrounding of those tissues are. So, because that's also important to understand. Last but not least, I think one of the interesting things that we have is, because that is, again, like working on the using the RF data from ultrasound and then using the frequency level dynamics, we can basically scale the data set. It is not a generative AI feature, not like synthesizing imaging, but we can basically create real image from real image, like by 50 times, and then use that information to optimize like the accuracy of the risk assessment systems as well. Usually the reports show nothing, but there is something that is not visible. We are aiming to make that visible.
So two questions. Number one, I understand we're not going to do generative AI, and you want to make sure that we are actually. But more importantly, number one, image augmentation through AI in ultrasound, and then in general, how do you see this technology moving forward in the future?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So, in one of the things that we are seeing is like the enhancement models that we have is basically focused on okay, can we kind of like reveal like certain features that helps, basically, because one of the things that we don't get rid of the original image. So that is one of the things that we never do, basically, because of the clinical security, like efficacy and all this kind of stuff. So, or regulations, like the radiologists, they always see the original image as well, and that is also one of the advantages. They can choose whichever image they want to enhance and then get the results on that image as well. So, because one of the things that we don't want to do, that okay, we are basically deleting all the original images and creating a new image that is based on. A lot of health systems are right now looking ways for utilizing ultrasound for triaging. That means that, okay, like, can we use ultrasound not in the hospital settings for regular things like either fast scans or others, or just regular scans, but more, can we use that outside the hospital settings and then reach out those people that are, as again, like in a certain group, but the user will be a nurse, for example. We cannot send every technician on the field and do the scan, but the user will be a nurse or a caregiver, basically a novice user. In our system, what we are saying that, okay, you just need, it doesn't matter if you over tilt it, it doesn't matter if you move a little bit faster, not too fast, of course. What we are saying, that if we can enhance it so good that a novice user is collecting the data, and then like the radiologist or the technician will look at it, and then they will prove that, okay, like, that is as good and as acceptable as it's done in the hospital. That will create this enormous distributed and decentralized imaging network, because then you will be able to reach all those people, and with the help of the software, then with the augmentation and enhancement, we will basically show all this information that was never collected before. And that is, I think, the biggest change that I am seeing. The acceptance of that is happening really fast right now, like, which means that, okay, like an ultrasound can be used anywhere, anytime, by a health professional, like by a nurse or caregiver. That will make a huge difference in how we call this preventive care or like remote care.
So, from a clinical use perspective, regular radiology workflow, Sonar is right. Radiologists' behavioral change is going to be even a bigger problem than FDA. Thoughts on Ed and Harvey?
I'll jump in real quick. So, first of all, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. What drew me to the company is, as a physician, I thought, oh my gosh, I've been told multiple times, hey, I need a line over here. Can you help me? Let's do ultrasound. And when I went through residency back in the day, we were taught how to do ultrasound. And when I saw the ability of giving this tool to a nurse, to someone that wasn't trained. But then looking at it from an AI healthcare preventative point of view, I thought, oh my goodness, if this could be at the local CVS where I, as a physician, like, hey, swing by the CVS, get this ultrasound done, then we all know that the future of medicine is going towards the home, meaning the hospital, there's no need in the future to be going to the hospital. The more that can be done at my home, the better. Ed, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, at two things that came most quickly to mind. One is always finding that clinical champion or business champion. You probably need both. If you're a clinician, you are going to have to find your counterpart, right? And come up with a dyad situation. And that's the only way that I've found to be successful is if you come at it from either clinical only or business only, it's not going to happen. So find that dyad and then you do some experimentation. If you wait for the big picture, if you wait to do everything perfectly right, it never happens. So you've got to do some skunk works. You got to like allow stuff to happen on the side, right? Which most CIOs won't do. And they'll be, oh my gosh. But that's why we're stifled with innovation. The second thing is, yes, you could lower the cost of medicine, but oh my gosh, you got to follow the money. If you disrupt revenue cycle, they'll never happen. So very important to work with, the finance brothers and sisters and figure out how do we make this happen that doesn't hurt the hospital finances, as being gut honest, right? Because they're going to be so protective of that.
So this is where the mammography is going to come, and I'm truly excited about it as well. I have limited information, but the whole point is that how we're going to rewire medical imaging and preventative care together. And this is exactly what Ed Marx and they said, from going from the hospital to the home, and essentially basically going from a reactive care to a proactive care where, you can share an ultrasound and then you can do this. And then the system's under pressure because people think, the money is the problem. The money is not the problem in the sense that hospitals would be okay doing it. What do you see the ultrasound as a player in preventative, proactive care?
I think one of the things that we say because we are focused on right now breast cancer and liver disease, but one of the things with mammograms is also that what we see is, which is also affecting ultrasound as well. So one of the things that we have done during that study is basically, okay, what happens if we use our system combined with ultrasound and mammograms, but what happens if we implement enhancement results on dense breast tissues and show the details in a much more detailed and easier way to understand and to make diagnosis. And we also, during that study, we also had access to additional metadata, which is basically race, ethnicity, race, and age, and location, and also the background of those people as well, because usually that is where AI becomes biased because it's not trained on different type of data. That is also something that we want to overcome, because with our technology we can basically close this gap and create more diverse data sets to optimize the risk assessment of the AI features as well. With our tech, with the study that we had, we achieved 64% improvement on the AI accuracy for early stage diagnosis. It is a huge improvement.
So the bulk of the problem statement was to improve image quality for improved detection and diagnosis. And the idea behind it is that the way that he has achieved that is basically that understanding, number one, decreasing three important things. One is image enhancement, which is already done, but image enhancement at the level of or basically controls for race, ethnicity, breast density. And then last thing that he has actually controlled for is the operator itself, because then even if you have a less experienced operator, the image enhancement can improve the overall outcomes. So Ed and Harvey, do you think that these kind of technologies are going to be only cash pay, or you're going to see that insurance companies actually, quote unquote, incentivizing everyone by demonetizing these kind of preventative cares in the hospital and saying, get it there because it costs me less? So it's a very different dynamic we are in. So Harvey and Ed, thoughts on that?
The way that we finance healthcare stifles innovation and is the killer of people and creates less than ideal experiences. So it's really frustrating. I was hoping that value-based care would, but it's been slow to adopt, and there's good and bad with it, and then usually it's such a carve out that it's really not covering entire populations for everything. But until we align incentives and truly put the patient at the center, I don't know how this is going to work. Man, I don't know that I have a solution other than I would love to see value-based care more holistically adopted.
All I was going to add is I agree with you, Ed. It's a tough one. But you know what? This is why we're doing this podcast. We need a lead, right? We need lead by example. One idea would be, I know this is kind of moonshot, would be to go to a major insurance carrier and be like, here's what we got. And if they are the insurance one and they see the writing on the wall, they're like, you know what? Yes, let's do this. And then I really feel the rest will follow. So the same thought, we go to the government. I know that's a moonshot again, but say, hey, this is what needs to happen. And if that happens, I can see the rest of the industry following.
So number one, does your current technology does longitudinal? Number two, talk in general. We talked about breasts, but where do you see the technology going forward?
Like, okay, dense breast is like a big problem. Like that is still, it's not only ultrasound problem, as I said, it's a mammogram problem. And what we can basically reveal that is like much more without needing like these rescans. So with the enhancement results, it's basically like really easy to identify what's going on without doing those repeated scans. So that's one thing. But on the other hand, the same technology is also like indication agnostic as well. So it can be directly adjusted without needing like months of training or others or like hundreds of thousands of data. And coming to your second question, I think what is becoming really interesting within our field is the potential of creating these extremely valuable biomarkers. For example, in certain cases that we do a study on Alzheimer's or dementia or others really rare diseases. So that is how we see the future will look like. So, and one of the things that like 2 years ago when we first were speaking with Harvey, we were saying that, okay, like ultrasound will become this consumer product. But at that time, everyone's saying, nah, it is impossible. It will not happen. But right now, 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting, one of the 5 big medical device companies approached us, and they said, oh, okay, we have these ultrasound devices, but we are aiming to develop a consumer version of that.
Real quick, what do you think, big picture, what's the one thing you think your company is going to do for healthcare in the future?
Well, I mean, we are aiming like to make like, because we are really heavily focused on ultrasound, and what we are making, what our biggest aim is like to have health systems, like every stakeholder in the health system, like use ultrasound not only for like as a secondary imaging modality, but moving that to a first imaging modality, but using that more frequently in order to identify the outliers.